Wait, are you ready to record? Oh, wait, that's all recorded? Oh my God, I thought we were still setting up. Wait, okay. Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, this is a perfect cold open. This is the cold open. Okay, let's explain to our friends and listeners what this podcast is.
Okay, so basically, so scratch that whole couple minutes where we just made a grave error and did something really bad.
It's scratched.
But aside from that, Jake and I are really good at social interaction and also we're really good about talking about people respectfully and in ways that cover our own tracks.
Yes. Navigating complicated social dynamics.
Yes, we are
navigating
savvy.
What should be simple social dynamics. Just getting through the world on a day-to-day basis, living in a city, handling work interactions, handling love interactions, friend interactions, all of the above. We feel that we are naturally equipped to handle these situations.
Yes.
And we have seen in our years on this earth that not everyone is.
Yes, to put it simply, when it comes to other people, we work with them smarter, not harder. We don't suffer fools gladly, and we don't think that you should either.
Yes.
We think that everyone's life could be more efficient and simpler.
And maybe I'm speaking for you here. I like people. It's like I enjoy social interactions. I'm not playing offense because I don't like people. It's like I just think that there's a way to move out the world that makes sense.
I've always said, for those who don't know me, I built a bit of a brand for hating things on the internet.
Yes.
And a lot of people's misconception is, Talia hates everything. I challenge that, and now I'll speak for you because I think you probably feel the same way. I don't hate everything. I love so many things. I don't hate the world. I love the world. I love a lot of the stuff in my daily life. I hate the things that prevent me from enjoying them.
100%.
I hate the things that get in my way and make my life less efficient and get in the way of my lifestyle. I know how to enjoy the world and see the good in things, but other things block me from that. All of that being said, we have learned from our struggles.
Yes.
And we think we're really good at navigating life.
Yes.
With other people.
So basically, this podcast will be coming out every week. And what it'll be is Talia and I, who are friends, which I don't think we've both been posting on the internet a lot for a long time, but we've never really acknowledged that we are friends off phone.
Yeah, surprise.
Surprise, Talia and I hang out and are friends in the real world. So we are going to be catching up every week, chatting, hanging out, and then also answering advice questions from you guys, the listeners.
That's right. And also, if you are a fan of my old show, The Influence on Snapchat Discover, maybe you found this podcast through our slot over on Snapchat Discover, you can expect to hear us. This is going to be the same thing that you loved about The Influence, except now I can talk for longer and with a friend.
Yes, and we're checking in about what's happening in the world, what's happening in our world, and what's happening in your world.
Yes, and so we'll touch on pop culture and we'll touch on celebrities and what have you, but also I think what people liked about that show was a person who is honest and themselves talking freely and openly, and now you have two people doing that.
Exactly.
And in a longer form. Now you can listen to it in the car and not look at your phone.
How anxious are you about the fact that we're going to have to appear on camera every week in full body shot?
No. People don't understand. I really found the podcasting world very appealing as a path because it's the medium where you're not seen. I really love the idea of talking without being seen.
Yep.
And TikTok
has taken that from us.
Taken that from us, but no. TikTok gave me an opportunity to be what I always hoped that I would be, which was some sort of personality, a commentator, whatever. But I wanted to control how much of my body people saw. And ideally, I like my face, and that's about it. So I was really excited about the idea. When I discovered TikTok, it was like, wow, I can do my dream job and film myself from the neck up and have the final say on what the world sees.
I know.
Now, I have to be... There's never been a good podcast angle. Can we acknowledge that? The way that clips are edited, there's never been a good angle.
I once was on... Wait, actually, this doesn't have to do with how I was filmed on the podcast, but I'm not going to name the podcast. I was once on a podcast of two very famous people.
Okay.
They're very famous within a specific community.
What, like Bravo?
No.
Oh.
I said I wouldn't say, and you need to respect that. If we're going to do this podcast, Talia, you need to respect my boundaries.
I always want to know.
I'll tell you off the mic.
Okay.
I do the podcast. I was so excited. I was so profoundly honored that they asked me to do the podcast. Wait,
That's
I'm going to pull up the
exciting.
photo that goes along with this story so I can tell you about this. I was so excited to do this podcast.
Okay.
I do it. I have a blast. It was like kind of during the pandemic, so it was over Zoom. I had so much fun. It comes out. I am so excited. They post about it to their Instagram. One of the hosts. This host has 1 million followers. They make an image for my podcast
What,
episode.
are you like a hunchback, like leaning over the table?
Rather than asking me for a headshot.
Yeah, no. They never
Rather
will.
than taking a screenshot, like rather than like being like, let's take a pic of the interview.
Right.
They screenshot a TikTok of mine.
No. Is it just you in the middle of a word?
It is, I'm going to show.
Mouth open?
It is so 1 million followers. Talia, 1 million followers. 1 million followers on Insta.
The good news is I don't know who these people are, and that's what matters.
1 million
friends
people
don't.
do.
Wow. When did you put on a wig and make a TikTok?
That's my early days. You don't know me back then.
Yeah, I didn't know this, Jake.
It's a different me.
Wow. Can he make an appearance?
No, I had the wig phase of me is
They
buried
couldn't even
and
get
dead.
one of you in a shirt?
No, it's actually just really something.
I was recently on a popular podcast that shot in this very studio right here.
Incredible.
When we walked in, I spent, I think, 10 minutes deciding which chair to choose from very slyly because, of course, I'm the guest. She's the host. It's a very successful podcast. And I'm walking in and I'm just kind of looking at both chairs like, she's like, do you have a side that you want? I'm like, no. And I'm like looking at myself in the camera, like trying to figure out, like, maybe
I don't
do
know
have
what
a
my side is.
I
Yeah.
was so certain that when I sat down, like I had picked an outfit that was flattering. I spend so much. I have no idea what I look like. So I spend
No, wait, we have
so
to talk
much
about
time.
that.
I have no
I have
idea
no
what I
idea.
look
I
like.
don't know what I look like.
So I walk in. I think I look good.
Yeah.
She posts the clips from this podcast. When I tell you, the podcast network themselves had to ask me why I wasn't promoting the podcast. Like I said I would. Because that's the deal, is you're supposed to promote.
Yeah.
You're supposed to share the clip. That's why they take the fucking clips. I have a bigger TikTok network than this woman does, and I wasn't promoting it. It's also because I talked about people. I really shouldn't have. I regret everything I say on every podcast I've ever been
Okay,
on.
well, this is going to be a good endeavor
It's
for
really,
us.
no, it's really going to be great. I'm really excited to have the
Read the
editors
first
cut out
5.
everything. I don't like, I go into every podcast, act like it's therapy, say things that either I mean to a degree that is too honest,
Sure.
or that some devil took over my body and it's not me.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of Hannah Berner's, my episode of Hannah Berner's podcast?
No, but I'm going to listen to after this episode.
Once again, recorded in this very room. That wasn't me. I don't know who that girl was.
Wait, stop.
But something took over my body. I was very nervous. I wanted to appeal to her audience. I took on a different personality. And to this day, I insist that nothing I said on that podcast was true. She's asking me like, would you rather this or that? And I'm listening to this like, who is that person? I have not lived in that body for 25 years. It's not me. So anyways, I've never meant anything I say. And so that's another reason why I didn't share it. But then I'm like doing the thing on Instagram where I strategically write like big block letter captions and put it over my body and like cover up my hunchback neck. And like, I thought that this shirt that I chose was so chic and like cool girl, Olsen twins. I looked like the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yes.
Like, I looked like I was pitching a
My
tent.
literal number one fantasy in this life, actually I have like 5, but like one of them is to be rich enough that I can pay someone to dress me every single day. And not because I care, like I want to like be wearing like the looks every day and like be super fashionable.
Right.
Because I am incapable of accurately perceiving myself in a mirror. And so I don't know how clothes look. And I just want to know that someone else is on payroll that is assuring that the jeans I'm wearing make sense.
Right. My
just
dream
makes sense. Because I have looked at photos. Do the thing. It's like I can't fully look at a photo of myself with objective reality until it is 5 to 15 years old. And then I can look and be like, oh, that's what I looked like at that age. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think I ever can.
I think maybe it's because I'm older than you. Like I can look a photo of myself now when I was a teenager and be like, oh.
Yeah.
Like I don't like critique it because I don't even think I barely see it as myself.
Right.
Like that person is such a baby and so young.
Right.
And like there's been so much life since then. I can look at a photo of myself as a teenager now and be like, oh, that's what I looked like.
Right.
But like I can't do that with anything that's happened since like Donald Trump was president. Like that's like the cutoff. You know, like
Okay, so it takes a couple years.
it takes time.
My dream is to dress the way that I do, but be skinny enough that it looks good.
It does look good.
Shut up. Can I say something that I hate about you?
Yeah.
I love you.
No, please tell me what you hate.
And not just about you, but about generally every good friend I've ever had, is I will say something self-deprecating and they'll be like, no. And it's like, yes, of course you're supposed to say that, but like, shut up. Like, yes, of course, it's fine.
No, I know.
You know what I mean?
I know, but I wouldn't say it. If it was self-deprecating about like certain things, I wouldn't. But like with body stuff, it is just like, especially because like I truly have never perceived you and like I don't know, like, well, I don't really. That's gonna sound holier than thou, but like it's not. I'm not like someone who like looks at someone and the first thing I think is like, what is the size and shape of their body?
Anybody who does is objectively, it's probably a bad thing. But I don't feel that way either. But like, and you are the lowest degree of a friend who does this. Like you do it to a normal degree where you're like, oh no, you're beautiful, shut up. But I have friends who I've broken off friendships because it drives me insane, that I'll look in the mirror and be like, ugh, like I feel like shit today. And they'll be like, look at yourself again. Tell that little girl that you're beautiful. Shut up.
No, but you know what the line is? Wait, the line is like this though. It's like, I think you're allowed to look in the mirror and be like, I look like shit today, or I feel like shit today, or like I hate how I look today. I think that like when you start to talk about your body, like, because it's like there are fat people, there are whatever people. So it's like if I were to look in the mirror and be like, I'm fat, it's like that is one, not true and like offensive. No. And so I think maybe that's what I'm like policing, and I maybe shouldn't even still be doing that. But I think like, that's like where the line is for me. But like you can look in the mirror and be like, I hate how I look today. Like that is fine, and that is like normal. And in fact, if you don't do that twice a week, I do think you're wrong.
No, exactly. You're lying. But I'm not going to pretend it didn't hurt, like sitting in my sorority house where the skinnier girls would sit in the mirror and be like, oh, I feel so fat, and I'm standing right there.
Right.
Like, of course,
No,
I have that awareness, but it's more just like, if I'm with my friend and I want to say like, oh, I'm hungover, I feel like schlubby, I feel gross.
Totally.
Just like let us do that for a second. Like there are certain people who like really, to me, it's projecting a certain insecurity that they can't talk about themselves in a human negative way at all. But that's a different conversation. Anyway.
Okay, so if you're listening to this podcast for the first time, we have a phone number you can call. Basically, the idea is this. Ask us for advice, and that could look like a few different things. You could tell us about a situation you're in that you're struggling with, and we will give you advice. Mm-hmm. You could tell us something that happened where you're like, am I the asshole here? And we will tell you, were you the asshole here?
Right.
And if you have a short, like story you think we would appreciate, that could be fun as well.
What I'm understanding from looking at the voicemails here is that it's like any other voicemail where they give you a minute to record it and then it beeps and cuts you off. So if you find that you have left 10, Karen, and you keep getting cut off from your story, try and keep it under a minute, and that won't happen, Karen. I'm sorry, but girl, you left 20 voicemails. They're each 3 minutes long. I can't physically listen to them.
Is it 1 minute or 3 minute?
These are a couple of them say 1 minute, but then I'm looking at the leader ones and they're about 3 minutes. So I think it goes up to 3.
Okay, great.
Either way, there really should be no reason that you can't keep it under like 2. I love you guys, but
it's a short podcast, so we can't have them be super long.
That's a sign to go
seek help. Can you read the number for them?
Yes, the number is 929-269-4960.
Perfect.
So give that a call. Wait for the little thing. You know what to do. There's a beep, and then you talk. Okay. Let's go ahead and play this one.
Hi, Talia and Jake. My name is Caleb. I am recently out of a relationship, and I told him that I would like to stay friends, and I mean that, but I feel like it's necessary to keep a certain boundary and have some time apart, and as the breaker-upper, it's difficult to maintain that. How do you recommend I create a clean break, make it cut and dry? Do I need to be more curt and direct about not communicating? Or do I need to be sensitive to my guy's feelings? Thanks for your advice. Bye.
Oh, calling him my guy.
Okay, yeah, I didn't pick up on that, but that's okay.
Interesting.
I have immediate feelings. Do you?
Nope. Go.
Okay. I think that, like, first off, it sounds like you're being very caring and empathic towards this person.
Yes.
I think you get points for that. If you are breaking up if you are the breaker-upper and you still want to be friends, that's great. I think that's beautiful, and that's like a really attainable and positive goal. But you need to, for the sake of that other person who wanted to stay your boyfriend and you ended it, or partner, I guess, whatever that you define the relationship as, you do need to have a clean break with a period of time of, I would say, probably no contact or minimal contact. Like, you don't need to block them on Instagram, but I don't think you should be texting every day. I don't think you should be hanging out every day or week. to create space to like codify like we are not regularly a part of each other's life anymore. And then you can reintegrate in the new dynamic.
Yes.
I think like 4 to 6 weeks. And I think explain that to them. Hey, I want you to be us to be friends. I think like for the sake of like really acknowledging that we're breaking up, let's take a break where we keep our distance and then we can reintegrate. In 6 weeks, go get lunch and start from there. You'll learn your new pattern as friends, but like I think you have to create space initially.
Mm-hmm. I
love that you don't agree.
I do agree.
Oh, okay.
100%. But I will take it a step further and say I think that, okay, if you're deciding whose advice to take, first take Jake's because he's actually been out of long-term relationships and I believe you've maintained friendships afterwards. I haven't had a long-term relationship that we maintained any sort of contact after. I do not believe in we can be friends. I like really don't unless it's been like a really long time and you are completely like in different phases of your life. I believe that when you're dating in high school and then 5 years later you like meet each other again at a party, like yeah, sure, you can be like casually friends. I don't think that after a serious relationship 6 weeks after that ends, and you especially weren't the one who wanted it. Like there was one person who really didn't want it to end. I don't think that that's a real friendship. Whatever it is, it's like making one person feel a lot better, but it's not real the way that a friendship is. Do you know what I mean?
Yes and no, because I do think I'm genuinely friends with my ex.
But is he genuinely friends with you?
Yes, I think so.
I think that's a rare situation.
Well, do you think that maybe there's like a gender thing happening too, like gay men versus?
Yes, it might be like a girl and a boy thing.
Like,
because friendships with girls versus friendships with guys, like same sex friendships versus not, are completely different.
Yeah, but I think what is true to your point is like to Caleb, really check in that you genuinely do want to stay friends with that person, and you're not just saying that because you want to make like the breakup easier.
Yes, I think the good thing
that's where it gets muddy. Is a lot of people will say like, I still want to be your friend because they're like softening the blow. It's like, I mean, it's the same thing where it's like, I mean, I got dumped like a few months ago, and like the guy was like, I hope we can stay friends, and it's like, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
We weren't friends 4 weeks ago when we started fucking.
Right.
We're not like. I really like you. I like spending time with you, but like. And I guess I do have friends that like their hookups went from like being people who hooked up and then they're like, oh, this really doesn't make sense, but like, let's stay friends. And they did, but it was like a mutual thing they came to together. It's like, I don't know. It is like, sometimes people just say it, I think, to like soften the blow of like dumping someone. And it's like, we're not staying friends, quite obviously. But then sometimes I think you do want to stay friends. And I think it's better to only say that in the situations where you do genuinely want to be friends.
Yes. Caleb, look inward, decide why you want to be friends with this person. If you really do, I think, first of all, you're well-spoken and you're mature. There's nothing, I really think that a lot of the solutions to the types of problems that people call in with are like, tell them exactly what you're telling me
100%.
right now. Like really, 100%. Just sit them down. You don't have to be curt in the sense that you're like cutting them off without telling them. You can literally say all of this to their face. Be like, I really care about you. I want us to be friends genuinely for A, B, and C reasons, but I think that we need to go like no contact. Say that. Don't just go no contact. You can tell them, but say that.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with like you don't have to be mysterious. Like tell them exactly what you would tell a therapist, tell your favorite podcast, whatever. It's not a lot of problems. I really do think, and this might be voiding our entire podcast, but a lot of problems really do come down to like you answered it yourself just by being honest and talking about it. Like just tell the person how you feel. If they are a human being with empathy, they will be able to understand.
Yeah.
You described it beautifully on this podcast. Like, I think that you could say that to their face.
Yeah, just promote our podcast, send them a link, have them listen to this episode. I think that's actually the best move.
Exactly. Okay, should we go to the next one?
Next call.
Good luck, Caleb.
Hey, Talia. My question for you is the best advice you can give when you're unexpectedly broken up with. That just happened to me, and I'm looking around like, wait, what the fuck is going on? How did we get here? I thought we were headed in a certain direction, and now it feels like everything is falling apart, and he's going to move to a state he's never been to start over, I guess. What's your advice? I don't feel the need to be angry with him. I'm more just like, I would like some closure. And I'm ready to wrap it up. Okay, thanks. Happy potting. Bye.
Again, I mean, you're the long-term relationship one.
Yeah, I never had someone move to another state.
That's tough.
That's tough.
Of course you feel like everything's falling apart. This is a huge part of your life. Did she say how long they were together again?
She didn't.
Look, it sounds kind of serious. I mean, I think the betrayal that is hurting you, because you don't seem that, I know that we can't judge from the podcast voice that you're using. You don't seem that upset about the fact that you're breaking up. What you talked about a lot was the fact that he's starting over in a whole place that he's never been to, and he's going a completely different direction that you didn't think he would. Maybe what's saddening you is the fact that he is choosing a different direction, and that choice necessitates him choosing that over you.
Yeah.
Like he's doing something that he doesn't even know if he's going to like, but he knows he likes you, and he's still choosing that other thing. Like, how dare he sort of not like go in this whole other direction out of nowhere and abandon something that he knows he likes. And I think that must be really hard to reckon with.
Well, you just sound a little confused, which I totally get. And you said at the end, like, how do I get closure? And I think that, like, I would say, and if you disagree with me, great.
Yeah.
But, like, I think you're allowed to be like, hey, I'm not trying to, like, convince you not to do this, but can we just talk about why so that I have some closure?
I have a major disagreement.
Wait, really?
I don't believe in closure. I don't think that closure is a real thing. I think that closure only comes from within. And the times when I have sought out closure and actually had what at the time felt like a mature and fair conversation with the person who broke up with me or whatever, giving me closure and reasons why they're leaving, I still only got that sense of closure that you think you're going to get from the conversation months or years later when I found fulfillment within and patched up the holes that that person had been filling at the time inside of me. Like, I don't...
But if you were seeing a guy for like, 2 months,
yeah,
and you were really into it and you felt like it was going really well,
yeah,
and then all of a sudden you like went to meet up with him and he was like, hey, I'm really sorry, but like I can't do this anymore. Like I think we need to stop seeing each other. Like it's been great, but like have a nice life. And he like dipped.
Oh yeah. Well, that doesn't. Am I wrong? That doesn't seem like exactly what happened here. It seems like she got the reasons why he's leaving.
No, right. I'm more just like interrogating this idea of like no closure.
Right.
And like and then you were like, okay, so like that would obviously be like, whoa, what the fuck? You're totally blindsided. Like she said, like you're totally blindsided. Do you not think that like if there are two scenarios, one being then you then having to like sit with that, process that, and move on from that like solo, or like another version where you like were to be like, hey, can we like talk about that and like what happened? And then he could be like, hey, like I actually had an encounter like at a party that weekend and I started to question my sexuality and I realized I needed to like have some time to be on my own and think about that. Like, and that's why I ended it. And I was really freaked out at the time. Like, don't you think that context would give you more closure than like the question mark of like, what the fuck happened there?
It would be satisfying to get the answers to my questions. But I find that, first of all, if a guy's going to like blindside me and leave me, and in that conversation where he's breaking up with me, he doesn't give me some reasons that help me reckon with it, and he just says, peace out. That in itself is closure because it's like, what am I doing with that person? But yes, of course, it will feel better to get those questions answered.
Yeah.
But I think that the myth of like, you'll get closure and then you'll feel better and it'll help you move on. No, I just think it'll be satisfying in the moment and it'll give you a new reason to cry about that doesn't feel like it's so much about you. But at the end of the day, the healing, the closure doesn't help with that. The closure comes, the end of the relationship and the getting over them does not come from them giving you a reason why they're breaking up with you. It comes from you growing, learning, looking back at them and realizing why it was a good thing that you're not with them anymore. Like that's the closure. So I think that, yes, of course, like the person is blindsiding you, they're breaking up with you and you didn't expect it. You better get your fucking reasons. I would never want to sit across from somebody and they're telling me like they're leaving me and they don't tell me why. Of course I'm going to say in the moment why.
Yeah.
But I don't think that going back and getting more details and prying and saying...
Well, there's a boundary. Like, there's a line between, like, kind of, like, digging at it to be like, I need answers. But I do think... I guess, I don't know. I do think that there is, like, an element of context or closure that can help healing. I don't think you need closure to heal, but I think that there are, like... It certainly can help a lot of the time.
I just think that a lot of people sit at home months or years even after a breakup thinking I never got closure, and that's like the one hurdle that's keeping them from moving on is this myth of like I need to go back and get answers about these things. Like there's no closure. This myth of like you need to go back and get all the answers, it's not going to help you sleep better at night. You eventually, even if like, for example, my junior year of college, Oh my God. The biggest heartbreak of my life, the first is always the worst. It was very, very difficult for me. It took a very long time for me to like patch up my ego. I was very deeply hurt. I kept the thing that was in between me finally getting over this and not was just me getting a reason from him why he did it. And I like had to keep fighting myself, like stop going back, because I finally realized after like therapy, talking to my friends, sitting alone and introspection, the reason he did it, like I knew why he did it. I knew why he like broke up with me or whatever. I just wanted to hear him say it because I thought that it would help me. But it's like usually—
Did you ever hear him say it?
No. Usually you have the answer. Like usually that's what we just said in our last question.
Totally.
Usually you do know.
Sure.
You don't need someone to tell you, oh, I met this other girl and I liked her better. Like, I can see his Instagram. I know who he started dating after. Like, I know exactly what happened. He met the other girl and he liked her better. But for some reason, the thing that was standing in between me and getting over it was I never heard him say it from his mouth. There must be something else. There must have been something else that I did. There must have been some other moment that made him stop liking me. There's no answer. You just have to move on. You have to look at it and be like, his behavior was the closure. His breaking up with me, his choice to not want to be with me anymore, that is the moment. That was the closure. That's the answer that I'm looking for from him. It doesn't matter what I did or who he met that made him stop. He decided to end the relationship. He closed it. That's closure. Yeah. You know?
Okay.
So I think that I really got in my own way by insisting that I couldn't fully get over it until I had a conversation with him. And it's like, ask yourself, sorry, she said Olivia. Ask yourself, Olivia, what do you expect to gain from this conversation?
Yeah.
Maybe even sit down and write it down. What do you think he's going to say that's going to help you? If you are able to come up with it yourself, you might know what he would say. You might already know. You just want to hear him say it. If you really think it'll help you to hear him say it, then fine. Like, give up your pride.
I think you're allowed to ask once.
Yeah.
You're allowed to ask once.
Yeah.
And if they give you information and it helps, that's wonderful.
Yes.
And if they don't, that's your answer.
Yes. Move on. Move on.
I think the pondering on should I ask or should I not is as toxic as like, what's the answer? What's the answer? And I'm just like, should or get off the pot. So just ask.
That's where we converge. That's our meeting point.
That's the thing. Yes. Yeah. I just think that like, if you want to ask, ask.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with asking, but you can only ask once.
I will be the first to admit also that my pride and my ego when it comes to, again, maybe it's a dynamic of a straight relationship. When I'm with men in the breakup and I'm like up against the guy, my pride gets in the way of me asking for any sort of
Capricorn.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Capricorn, woman, whatever you want to call it. I just don't want to admit, like, I want to be like, okay, well, peace out then. Fuck you too. And then I'll move on. And I was over you yesterday. Like, I don't want to go back and say that. Yeah. Unless it was, there are certain times when I have. But maybe it's that first breakup that I told you about that really hardened my heart and made me never want to show my cards again. Because I really had a hard time going back and showing, like, I'm confused. Yeah. I need you to help me emotionally. To ask for help emotionally in the form of, I need you to tell me what went wrong. It's a human thing for you to want it. I have a hard time even going back once. So I think where Jake and I agree is that going back once is okay. And that's something I need to work on. But after that, bitch, move on. Like, it's not going to help.
Yeah. And only go back if you want to, I guess is my point. Okay.
Yeah, why do you give a fuck with this guy thing? Let's take the first voicemail we got when we put up our thing.
Hi, Talia. It's me, the Canuck. I just wanted to make sure the cat got in okay and that the locksmith came at an early enough hour. Let me know what's up. And sorry about the mess in the stairs. Be well. Bye. From Trudeau.
Oh my God.
So, isn't it cute that he saw that I was like promoting my podcast on Instagram and he was the first call. That's a guy that I fucked last week.
I actually do love that that's the first call we ever get.
That is the first call we ever got. It's the Canuck. That's what we're going to call him, the Canuck.
The Canuck.
He's a Kinney. He's from Quebec.
Quebecois.
He spoke French.
Does he have an accent when he speaks in English?
Yeah.
Amazing.
But not like a French.
I just heard his voice.
It was very... It's very slight.
It is very
slight. But okay, weird because I just watched a documentary, rewatched Don't Fuck with Cats. Have you seen it?
I started Don't Fuck with Cats and I got to like the first thing and I was like, I actually don't need this in my life.
It's
and I turned it off.
deeply disturbing, and I've seen it 3 times.
And then you and I are so different. My best friend watched it. I was like, can you just explain to me in detail everything that happens? And he was like, yeah. And then I was like, cool, I'm not watching that.
It's really, really gross. And by the way, I think true crime obsession is gross, which is why I keep my obsession to myself. I don't theorize on the internet. I don't like to make a spectacle of other people's gruesome murders. I just think about it in my own little brain. But I was watching Don't Fuck with Cats.
3 times.
So I had...
Is that like your number one?
Over the course of like 4 years.
Is that your number one true crime doc?
Absolutely not. No, we can't get into this. Anyway, because I really adamantly, I don't believe in talking about true crime for entertainment. I really think it's disgusting. Is it my most consumed podcast genre? Yes. Is it my favorite category of entertainment? Yes. It is the definition of a guilty pleasure. I hate when people say, oh, my guilty pleasure is like, I like regular milk instead of oat milk. No, a guilty pleasure is something disgusting. My guilty pleasure is I love this shit, and I also talk so much shit on people who talk about it. So I don't like to go online.
I love that you're transparent about it, though.
Yes, it's a guilty pleasure. I'm guilty about it. I don't think it's fair to, talk about these poor girls who were murdered in Idaho, these people making a huge thing online about theorizing, making them like they're characters in a movie.
No,
it's disgusting. Did I read about it personally? Was I intrigued personally and wanted to know about it personally? Of course, I'm a human being. But
you didn't turn it into content.
I didn't turn it into my own content. I consumed other people's, which is the guilty part, but whatever. Anyway, so I'd been watching this documentary about the murder. And the guy was Canadian. He was caught in Canada, in Montreal, and he's from there. So that weekend, it had been really like on the mind. And then I met this guy.
And you're like, do you know?
And I was like, I go, do you know the Don't Fuck with Cats documentary? The murderer, the person that the documentary is about, is this disgusting man named Luca Magnotta. And this guy,
He's like, I'm Dylan Magnotta. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. Our mutual friend, had a horde of Canadian men visiting her. I don't know what the water is like over there, but they all were.
It's frozen and they're playing hockey on top of it. That's
and their butts are thanking them
hockey
for
butt
it.
is the number one.
First of all, hockey is the hottest sport, the most fun sport, and just the best butts. And
if I had to go watch a sport live, I would pick hockey every time.
It really is so fun. It's really fun. Anyway.
Because skating is impressive.
Skating is impressive. To balance, it's also always air conditioned, so you never get sweaty, whatever. These men, there were 10 of them, mostly all single, and on a trip. Single men on a boys' trip. They're
it's the beginning of a true crime documentary.
It's also the beginning of an orgy. They really want to fuck, okay? So my friend invites me over. She's like, hey, come, bring your single ass. You're going to get fucked tonight, essentially. And I was like...
She's such a good friend.
She's such a good friend. She knows that our mutual friend who hosted the shindig with the Canadians, really, really hit the jackpot. Her fiance is very lucky to have her. She's wonderful. But she's marrying like this hot Canadian man with all these hot Canadian friends. It's just like, how cool that you met someone like so cool.
I know.
She's cool too.
It's crazy when cool things happen to good people.
It really is. It's like one of those things where it's like, this is a person who deserves like a hot Canadian guy who's going to buy her a wonderful house or whatever they got. So they're all there. They're all, I feel like I have my pick. I've never felt hotter in my life. I really walked in there. Do you know how easy it is? If anybody's trying to impress a Canadian man, let me tell you how easy it is. You say, I want a beer. And you say, I want a cigarette. And all the guys flop on the floor and like little fish. And they start begging for your phone number. And they say, you're not like any other girl I've ever met. And they think you're so beautiful and hot. And they propose your hand in marriage. And
so you're engaged.
On top of that, if you dare say, I've been to a hockey game, they lose their minds. So I was the queen, basically. And I had my selection. So I wound up selecting this one of them. I take him back to my apartment. You know the story, or a million people do on TikTok. I don't know if you guys do. Basically, I went viral this weekend for sharing the story of how I brought this man back to my apartment, made the grave mistake of fucking him raw, and which, by the way, everyone's so upset at me. All the comments are like, how could you do that? That's
it's
disgusting.
Not your vagina. Leave her alone. Leave you alone.
First of all, everyone commenting frowning upon this. Don't tell me you've never begged a girl to not use a condom, okay? Don't throw stones from a glass house. Is that the saying?
In a glass house.
In a glass house.
You throw them from it, but because it won't hit the walls.
Yeah. And also, of course I made a mistake, okay? It's disgusting. I know what I did. I have an IUD, so don't worry about the whole abortion. I'm not, although dual citizenship would be nice. I'm not having a Canadian baby.
I don't think you get citizenship.
I thought that was how it worked.
No, I think the baby does.
Oh. So, and I very well might have an STD. I was extremely irresponsible.
Get tested.
I'm going to get tested. I made an appointment. I don't do this often is the point, and I'm usually very good about it, and we all make mistakes, and I know all of you have made the same one probably more times than I have. So shut up. If you saw him, you'd understand. So he spoke French. Let's move on.
Also, you not using a condom is the least of the things that went wrong. Like by a million miles.
I walk the guy out of my apartment. I kiss him goodbye. A lot of people were also mad about that. I kissed a one-night stand goodbye. Shut up. He's Canadian. He has chivalry.
The hardest thing about TikTok is that it's like stop having opinions, but also like your comments help the engagement. So have opinions. Like all your opinions are
I
annoying.
just don't want to see them, but comment as many times as you want. So
my old apartment had fucked up paint on the wall. And every video I would post, people would be like, fix the paint. And I was like, I'm never fixing the paint. I'm never fixing the paint. Every video I post gets 2,000 comments of people being like, your paint is killing me. And I was like, yeah, drive up that engagement, baby.
It's like, have you seen the, okay,
I tried to do the paint correctly when I did it. I just fucked up the painter's tape and it looked like shit. And then the first time I took a video.
Oh, you fucked it up.
I painted an accent wall in my kitchen and we fucked up the painter's tape on the door jamb.
You did an accent wall?
I'm gay. I fucked up the painter's tape and the door jamb was covered in green fucking paint and everyone on TikTok hated it. And it made a lot of my videos go viral.
Good. Can I move on? Okay, so I'm walking out. People were upset that I kissed him goodbye. Shut up. You're mad that I found a real man who will kiss me after head. And he Wait,
will guys
goodbye.
not kiss you after you suck their dick?
What?
Is that what you just said?
A lot of times they won't, no.
If you've sucked their dick, they won't kiss you after.
Okay, know what I've noticed? It's if they came in your mouth, they won't kiss you. If you suck their dick, they'll kiss you.
Prison.
But then, okay.
Are you joking?
But also,
get over yourself.
But I don't really like to kiss a guy after he eats me out. Ew. So I kind of get it.
Okay. Moving on.
I mean, just like
I thought you went to state school.
It's like in
different
Sex
on the West Coast,
City.
I guess.
In Sex and the City, when she says like Charlotte's like dab your mouth a little. So anyway, I give him a kiss, and he leaves, and we're almost home free. And the cat that I'm cat sitting, Crazy Girl, she runs out. That's her name, Crazy Girl. She runs out the door. Now, Crazy Girl will come back to me, but it's pouring rain outside. And the door of my apartment building lately happened to be, it's been fixed, so don't get any ideas. But lately it had been having some issues of staying closed. It had been jammed all the time. So it was open. I knew that if Crazy Girl went downstairs, she'd run for the street because she's curious. I wasn't willing to risk it. And this guy was doing this dumb guy thing where he's blocking the cat with his foot and the cat just keeps jumping over his foot. I'm like, grab the cat. He goes, I'm really allergic to cats. Okay, it was fine when the cat was on the bed while you were humping me, but now you won't grab the bed.
I do have empathy there. I'm very allergic to cats.
You wouldn't grab the cat? You could have sex with a cat on a bed, but you wouldn't.
I've like, if I'm on Hinge and there's cats on your profile, I'm swiping left.
Oh, same.
Yeah.
But you won't just grab the cat?
I guess I would maybe try to grab the cat.
Grab the cat. So he won't grab the cat. So I am forced,
You look crazy.
I instinctively,
I just love it. Okay, moving on.
I instinctively I wrap basically like a dish towel, like not even a bath
that's
sheet,
the worst.
like not even a real towel. I wrap this short little towel around me, and instinctively, I have a living thing on my mind. I run after it.
Yeah, motherly instinct.
And I grab it, and I hear the door shut. The sound of that lock, like, it haunts me. It's PTSD. I'm like, so that's an automatic lock. He's like, what? I'm like, you don't have those in Canada? It locks by itself.
No, they have national health care and doors that have normal locks.
There you go. So he's like, okay, I don't see the problem here yet. I'm like, I explained to him the problem. He's like, oh, poor guy. He was on a really short vacation with all his buddies, and they can't get away from work for that long. Like it's really a big deal for him to be in New York with all his friends, visiting his friend who's gonna get married. Like, huge deal.
Yeah.
And here I am, naked, holding a cat, barefoot in a stairway, saying, you better fucking stay here. And he's like, of course, I'm chivalrous, I'm Canadian. So he starts calling the locksmiths before my mom and my dad get on me, because they already have. Let me state the facts. I do have a key in a lockbox. I do. You need your phone to open that lockbox.
And shoes. Like,
Next.
this is...
Yeah, I have no shoes.
Like, you're not walking down whatever street you live on in, like, the rain. It's not happening.
I'm butt naked in the pouring rain.
No.
With a cat. Don't forget, there's a living thing that needs to piss and shit and eat. And it's clawing out of my arms. The next thing, I have a key.
Quit.
I did quit very quickly. I have a key, stored with my friend who just recently moved to Brooklyn. So I can't get on the L train right now. He's also asleep. It's 4 a.m. The super, not going to pick up. It's 4 a.m. The next thing I can do is go find a neighbor. Hopefully one of them answers. I only know one other person in my building. Ask them to let me sleep in their apartment in their one bedroom on the couch with a cat naked. And then the next day, the super's office is closed on Sundays. So I can't get the key for another 24 hours. Really? There is no option other than get a locksmith. My parents were arguing it was really like, nobody seems to be able to accept that this actually was the only thing that I could do.
Yeah.
When you have a cat, it would be different if I didn't have a cat. I'd Uber naked to somebody else's place. I'd go back with him to his place. I don't know.
Yeah.
I had a cat. So I have to get back inside.
This also wouldn't have happened if it wasn't the cat. Ultimately.
If it wasn't for the fucking cat.
Yeah.
So I got back inside. The locksmith finally arrives, charges me about $900, which, by the way, there needs to be regulations in New York State.
I mean, he sees you and it's like, yeah, this is your only option.
Yeah, they know. That's why they upcharge you. They
yeah.
know that it's your only option. It's a house call. It's 4:00 in the morning. I expected it to be like $3,000. What am I saying? 300. Almost $1,000 to pop a lock. It took him a total of 30 seconds to do this entire thing.
That's crazy.
It was criminal.
Wait, it was just to open the lock? It wasn't even to replace it?
He replaced it. To replace it was an extra 300. To open the lock was like 500. And then the fee for coming was like 100.
Okay, God bless.
So the whole thing is a scam.
Yeah.
I'm very much aware of that. And I paid it. It was one of those things where you just pay the money and you forget about it. I didn't want to look.
Yeah.
I was like, it happened. We're ignoring it.
Yeah.
It's just $1,000 that is missing from my bank account forever, and fine. Nobody will shut up about it. Everyone's like, so how are you going to make that money back? I'm like, I guess I'm not. I guess I'm just not. It's gone forever.
Yeah.
I've never spent $1,000 on shoes or a purse, or even like the most I've ever spent is my rent and a vacation. I spent it. It's gone.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy to spend money on a Birkin, but we're different. I spent it to get back into my apartment. And honestly, forget about it.
I think this story is alone worth it.
Yeah, I just need people to forget about the STD, tentative STD, potential STD, and the $1,000.
It's fine.
I've forgotten about both.
Did he ask a question or did he just call to say, I hope you got it?
He just called to say hi.
That's really nice.
So that was a really long story. Anyway.
No, it was great.
Did you do anything fun this weekend?
Not that fun. Okay, look, guys, here's the thing. This has been the first episode. Thank you for being here. It's going to evolve. It's going to grow. It's going to change. And you will be here for all of that. And I know everything was dating related with the calls today, but you can call us and ask about anything. The purpose of this podcast is we handle social situations well.
Right.
So call us. The weirder, the more specific, the more like complicated. Obviously, like the story can't be 30 minutes long, but if you have like an interesting, like complicated situation that you want us to dive into, like we would love that.
I personally would love to hear your issues with like your landlord or your mom.
Yes.
Anything.
And we'll help you get creative.
Yeah, exactly. I will, if you want to hear a sexy podcast, we can make up for it with our little sex chit chat. You don't need to make all the questions about that. I think that there's a common misconception that all interesting questions and conversational
Our dating,
fodder,
and
our
it's just
dating,
not.
our sex. That's not true.
So ask about whatever you want. We will be back next week and every week after that. We love you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. This was Basic Training, episode 1.
Bye.
Bye.